as I'm sure you're aware, I don't allow advertising on this channel, and you can't just come round here with your wares and all your promotional materials and give them to me and expect to be featured just because you're from a company that makes the finest probes for measurement available, and you come round here and give me a load of free shit. That's just not going to work, is it, Stephen French, the water sparky? Oh, I'm a bit thirsty. Let me just have a drink.
So that was a fucking lie.
Frenchy, the water sparky, this guy here, has been round. He's on Instagram. If you're into this kind of stuff, you can follow him as well on there. I'm going to take you through. I'm not going to show you anything today. I'm just going to tell you about something interesting to learn. Also, check out this merch. That's a space pen. That's cool, isn't it? When I was like, when I was in my teens, to get one home would cost you a real whack of money. Now I've got one for free. So cheers for all the goodies they've given me. Some pens, some pencils, and a card that I'll no doubt lose next time I go for an airport. But yeah, show you something interesting I found out about floats today. I'm going to do some more videos on this, but I want to show you something I found out today that I was really interested about. So let me get rid of all this merch, this crazy merch I've been given, and I'll show you what's what. I think this is an ad. This could be construed as an ad, so I better put that one on. Right, I've demerged myself. Right. When I deal with process and production, manufacturing, stuff like that, you're always dealing with product, what we call the process variable, the amount of something you may have. Now, that could take many forms. It could be a weight of something if you put it into a bag, say a bag of crisps or a bag of cement, or you could be dealing with the raw materials, in which case you might be dealing with powders or liquids or anything like that. I've got a previous video that's on my YouTube now about Vaga. They make all sorts of measurement probes like this one here, and loads of them. There's a catalogue here full of them. I'm sure you can go online and look at what they've got. But they do tons of process stuff, and they literally are cradle to grave. They do like the most basic of stuff, which this one is. This is from their low cost range, all the way up to these baffling nuclear ones they have that can look through vessels and analyse the gravities of products, the thicknesses of products, basically, for you, me, people that are a bit thick. So if you want to find out more of them, one, if you're really into finding out more of them for a work thing, contact Frenchy. He'll sort you out. He's the flow man.
Oh, he's the flow man. Oh, he's the flow man. Oh, he's the flow man. Oh, flow. Oh, flow. The flow. Oh, the flow.
But other than that, I'll give you a little rundown. So this video, I'm going to use this as an example. Yeah. You may or may not have seen these. These are called float switches. Now, they are ruthlessly simple, right? And they work. There's nothing wrong with them. When you use this rig, you have to imagine your water. So let's just imagine there's only one of them. And the water comes up. And what the water would do is this would float and it'd go da-da-da-da-da. And if you listen carefully,
Oh, he's the flow man.
there's a ball bearing in there. And what that would do now is that would switch. One pair of contacts would go normally closed. The other one would go normally open. And you could utilise that in your process to do something. So it would give you a high level, so it could go, I'm full, I'm not full, I'm full, I'm not full. However, in a tank, being full or not full is not great. It's a known item, you're full or you're not full, but one thing, being full does not mean you're not over full, you're too full. And then not being full, there could be nothing in the tank or 99% of a tank. So what you do then is you put too much of this one here. So this one, if you imagine I'm liquid, you have to pretend to be liquid, you come up and it'd move up.
Oh.
Now, it will say there's something in the tank. However, to operate this, you need at least a foot of water in this tank, if that makes sense, from this float switch. So now, the tank would say, I'm not empty, I've got something in the bottom. And then this one could be here, or it could be 300 metres higher. So then all you really get is, I'm full, and I'm not full, but I'm not empty, or I am empty. And that difference between these two floats, what I think is referred to as the span, that could be the bottom of a mine shaft. And that could be the top of a mine shaft. They could be hundreds of metres apart. And knowing whether something's actually empty or nearly empty, or nearly full or overfilled, it's too many variables for most processors. You need to know a little bit more accurate than that. These cost about £5 off eBay. I bought them to make this test rig. It's for controlling motors. It's a good way of learning about switches, yeah? What it's not a good thing about learning about is how to measure the volume or fullness of a tank. So if you're dealing with an expensive material, when you've got a tank or a silo full of it, having these doesn't help. Back in the day, they would have done what's called dipping. Every day, someone would have gone out there with a tape measure, dropped it down till it touched something, measured the difference and worked out how full the tank was, and maybe wrote on a board, the tank's 55% full. Then the next day they go and do it's 50% full now, and they graph that up and work out that they need to reorder some more next Wednesday, something like that. These float switches then could give you a little bit of stuff like, oh, I'm full, stop the pump, or I'm empty, stop the pump, or whatever. But generally, although they are very reliable, unless they twist themselves together, in which case they become extremely unreliable, they're just simple, they do work, and they do have their uses for, like, say an ultimate stop, like glug, 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 glug. Stop the pump, stop the pump, stop the pump, no matter what. You could have two of them doing the same thing, stopping a pump so that a pump, it doesn't overfill. Yeah, but it's too coarse for modern production, modern process variables, and that's where Vaga can come in for you. Let me go to them, but I'm waiting for this to end. So I spoke to Steve Frenchy for quite a while. He used to work in the water industry, so he actually knows what the fuck he's on about. He's not just a salesman. And now he works for Vaga, selling this stuff and not as much selling, I think promoting it, showing people how it's used because he's dealt with it and he knows his stuff. He's been around this morning, proper baffling me with some science. So this is a level probe. It's a measurement probe. He says to me, think of it as a tape measure. It can measure stuff, and I'm going to demonstrate that. Probably not today, but I'm going to demonstrate it. This one is a radar. It sends out some magic, and it measures the magic when it comes back and works how far away a solid item is. It can see through plastic and stuff, which is something we'll come to later. Then, on its end wires, it gives you a 4 to 20 milliamp signal. If you don't know what 4 to 20 milliamp signal is, I've got a video of it on YouTube. I'll link it there. This is YouTube. But it's basically a way of telling a percentage to a computer. These are from the cost-effective range, as in you don't need to do. They're not cheap. Yeah, they're the I don't want to call them cheap, but they're the cheaper range because the really advanced ones, which I'll put a picture in of here. In fact, I'll show you the catalogue. It's that one there, look, that's got the more hard casing and the more flanges. When you're using higher pressure and high temperatures, you need the more industrial range because they can handle higher temperatures and higher pressures and stuff and things like that. This one can replace those floats in a much more thing, because if you look down here, look, there's nothing to get tangled, and it can do maths and cleverness and stuff like that. This one gives out a 4 to 20 milliamp range related to how far something is away from it. You program that on an iPhone or an Android if you're poor. But then even better, they've got this box, and this box works with this to do really clever stuff, which hopefully we're going to go into this video when it's on YouTube, not today. But I'm going to show you something I found out today. So just see it as a clever tape measure. Should I power it up and show you quickly? No, I'll probably set it up, but we'll come to that later in the video. So basically, to cut a long story short, but you're going to get a long story as well, don't worry. You put this in something, and it sends a beam down. And you tell it where the bottom is. And then you tell it where you want the top to be. And between where you tell it you want the top to be and where you want the bottom to be, which is not necessarily empty or full, it's just a range within that silo or that vessel, it then gives you a percentage or millimetres or whatever you want. And it'll do that, and it'll send that signal back to a PLC. So you're just using it on its own. However, if you utilise it with this box, of which they do many controllers, this can then show that percentage on the screen, and it can be told to kick in, to fill it at a certain level or empty level. Basically, it's a little computer. I don't know if you're familiar with computers, they're going to be massive. So what I want to do, first off, once I've explained this thing I found out today, which is crazy, is we're going to look at how we can use this and this to replace those floats, which is a much more useful mechanism that don't get tangled up. So in this video, I'm going to cover levels, as in heights, how full a silo is, or how full a tank is, and that when it gets to a certain fullness, we do something, or when it gets to a certain length, we do something like bringing a motor to fill it or drain it and that, whatever. However, Frenchy, his specialism is flow.
Oh, he's the flow man.
I want to see what you think about this because I got it totally wrong. So let's come up with an example. To get it across, I've made a little model. So let's say at a waterworks or somewhere where you do... Let's kick the camera. Let's kick the camera, dickhead. Right, let's start again. I've made a model. This model's of a channel. So if you look from above, look, you'll see there's a channel down here. And if I show you from the end, look, you'll see even more as a channel. I've defined the corners with pen. And what I want to say is that we're going to mount a sensor like this, because this one will do it, amazingly. We're going to mount that here so it looks down into the channel. But we don't want to know how high the water is, which is what you'd assume that would do. Well, it will tell you that. It'll tell you how high the water is. From that, you can tell how high the water is in the channel, right? How would you solve the problem of using a device here, some sort of device that is in the Vaga catalogue, you could go in there and cheat, to measure how much water is flowing down the channel in, I don't know, litres per minute, litres per second, litres per hour. How would you do that? What would you need to incorporate to do that? I'll give you a few clues, yeah, because otherwise it's just fucking boring. I'll have loads of people giving the wrong answer. One, you can use that sensor, which measures height. And two, I thought obviously, let's talk what we know. We know the width of the channel and we know the height of the channel. So you should know how much water's going through there, but the water varies. I thought the secret to working out is if you knew how high the water was, you need to know how fast the water's going. You need to know the flow rate, which I thought you'd get a sense for, but you don't use that. You use that. So today's question, because this is it for today, is how do you measure the flow of water down the channel by positioning one of those sensors here? What options do you have? Because the channel's a known width and a known height. The water will vary in height and all sorts. So yeah, if anyone's got any ideas, write a few bits. And it's not a sponsored video, but this has all been lent to me for free. They've lent me this. Frenchy's lent me this for free from Vaga for me to play around and make these videos. So hence why I've got a free pen. Yeah, I've got a free pen. Get over it. It's not sponsored, but what I will say is they've been very good at lending this. It's not the cheapest good lend. Vaga have probably got a catalogue like this one, which is backwards if you're on Instagram, that you can look at online if you're into any of this kind of stuff. If you are into some flow stuff, or you want to do this at work, give him a shout. Yeah, because that's what he does. He doesn't just sell it, he knows what he's fucking talking about. Oh, they've got an app. Vaga have got an app. Now, I can obviously, in this video, I'm going to be connecting to this probe and setting it up on the app. However, you won't ever probe unless you're fucking stinking rich. So if you download the app, there's a demo. You can pretend it's got an instrument connected to it and look at all the settings and stuff you can do. So that might give you a clue. So yeah, if anyone wants to have a dabble, let me know. Tell me how this works. So what we're going to look at going forward with this video, this is for me to remember what I'm doing as well, because I'll record this again in a couple of weeks' time or a couple of days' time, is we're going to look at a tank that pumps poo that's got these floats that exist in, but they keep getting twisted together. And we're going to look at replacing that system, which will involve motors, controls, process, with one of these and one of these. I've asked, because I know someone asked me, apparently the list price for these, no one knows list price, but yeah, these are about 1,200 quid for the pair, plus all your bracketry and fit that you're going to have to do in that. So it might not seem as cost effective as a set of dangly probes, but I assure you, once they start getting dangled, you have to start getting massive pump trucks in to suck out poo, basically. This can become more cost effective. Right, it's all in the box because I'm going to come back to it later. Just to reiterate, yeah, this is what I use. Vaga's what I use and what I've used for years in the cement industry, because radar probes can see through dust. So when you're filling the silo up with cement, which is what I'm used to, it's my business, it creates dust, but these probes can see through that dust to the solid level. So I've been using it for a while, so it's all going to go back in the box.
2 weeks later.
Yo, actual electrical content time, mainly because I've had a few people chew me ear off about this. You may remember the water spark, you gave me this Vaga gear to look at, and people have been saying, I showed that I had it and I haven't shown it because I need to make some stuff. I'll show you what's going on, but I will answer the challenge I got. Basically, the question I set you though was this, and it was using this. So how do you measure flow of water through a channel? I made a channel. I'm going to make a model on here now to show you what the answer is, because how do you know how much volume of water's flowing through here? Not the height of it, which is what the probe measures, the height. How do you know what volume of water's flowing through is the question I set. And a few people have provided answers. I'm going to show you how it works, because it doesn't do it by height. It doesn't actually measure the flow. It does it via height. Sure, the water sparky. Frenchy's going to correct me on this, but I'm going to do my best to tell you how it works. I'm just going to make this model a bit better. I've got some wood here, look. That's not wood, that's cardboard. I've got some cardboard. Right, I've gone full on in the arts and crafts department. I've made this lot. This is the simulation of a little channel in a waterworks. So you'd have a channel that the water goes down so you can measure its flow. And that is this. This would exist as an existing concrete structure. Something like that. I'm going to spin you round. Who'd have thought, when I start this channel, I'd have a prop department and an arts and crafts department. Let me spin you around and show you how this works, because people have been asking me. I set this question a couple of weeks ago, and people have been asking me, and I'll go over the question again before I show you the answer using more arts and crafts. Check me out. I'm basically fucking Blue Peter, mate, but we're swearing. I'll not lie, the camera angles and the lighting for this have been an absolute nightmare, as well as making the model, which took me 4 or 5 days. So in a water place where there's water, like a waterworks or something like that, you'll have a channel like this, and water will flow down it. And obviously, what you think is, well, if the water's higher, there'll be more of it. And you'd be quite right, there would be more of it. But just because the water is higher does not mean that the water is moving. The water could be overflowing the top, but stagnant, staying where it is. The water could be a very thin trickle on the bottom, but again, not moving or moving extremely fast. So we can't just rely on the height of the water or the speed of the water. We need something that a detector like this can measure, that it can give a reading for. So we need to make some way of the water getting height. getting a height. And you do that by putting an obstruction in there, which I'm going to give an example of. Don't all the water people start messing with me. This is just an example. What I've done now is I've fitted my probe. There's something spanning the trough, and this is my probe, and this is where it's looking to. And it can theoretically measure the bottom of the trough all the way up to the top of the trough, and if it's overflowing, because it can measure the distance, yeah? But all it will do now, I'll drop the scissors then, fuck, that's a bad take. All it will do now is physically measure the height of the water, which again, it could be halfway up and not moving. It could be fully up and not moving, so it doesn't tell us anything. We have to place an obstruction in there so that we can actually measure the speed and the flow of the water via its height, because water is predictable. So we're going to put a V plate in, as explained to me. I don't know anything about this, just what I got told. Let me put that in for you. If this disappears off Instagram, it's because I've explained it wrong. Yeah, we're both on the journey here, you and me, because this has only been explained to me. So there now is my V plate, which will restrict the flow. And what will happen is, as the water comes down, it'll get restricted by this plate. And as it starts to flow over the top, it'll get a certain height. For example, if it gets to here, it will flow, but as it goes up, it's restricted less, which adjusts the height. I'm not going to this in great detail now, because I'm going to explain it as part of the probe process. But by putting this restriction in here now, we will increase the height of the water at a proportional level back from the V plate. Again, all you need to remember is at this stage is that this restricts the flow, which makes the water go higher within a certain range of this plate, which is then picked up by the measuring device, which is this probe at this point. So basically that's it. We're going to come back to it now. We've got an idea what's going to happen and why the probe's going to measure the height. So there's the probe. Look, let me take 3D. Look, do you fly around in my drone? Oh, it's not a drone. It sounds like mum's dildo, but yeah. The restriction happens here. Well, the tripod's doing what it wants. The restriction happens behind here. Therefore, only a certain amount of water gets through this plate. So this plate will force the water behind it higher, and this will measure it, and that's how we're going to dictate the flow. There's some maths to go with it. Frenchy's going to come in and do that because that's too much for me. But that is basically, and the trough, the concrete trough would be existing. So that's what we're going to do. That's why I want to measure it. But we could just as easily be using it to measure other things. I'll go into those shortly. So we could just as easily be measuring this tank from the lowest part, which would be this bit here, the bit of wood here, to its highest part, which would be that bit of wood there. We could just as easily give a percentage to that if that was a tank or a silo or any sort of vessel. But one of the main applications for this is this thing. And the app supports programming this thing. And this is weird because cleanish water acts the same. If you've got the same width trough and the same shape V plate and do different flows, the rise in the water behind the plate will always be the same if the mass is the same. But the app can do all the maths and do the flow rates, basically, which I find very weird. So yeah, if you don't get that, let me know and I'll explain it better. But that's how we're going to work it. But this application is just as good for waters in a tank, powders in a tank, cement in a tank, cement in a silo. Anywhere you want to measure a distance from this sensor down to something.
He's the flow man. Oh, he's the flow man. Oh, flow. Oh, flow. The flow. Oh, the flow.
Like and subscribe.